Hi guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to be talking about a controversial topic, and that is whether or not children should have smartphones. But before we get into it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and subscribe if you're not already, and ring the bell so that you don't miss any of my future uploads. And let's jump in. Okay, so first off, I wanted to make this video because I made a short about this where basically it's the trend. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it below, but it's the trend where you point and you put text and it says like, I might get hate for this, or I might lose subs for this, but, and then you kind of just go like this and put like something controversial at the bottom. And I said, children don't need smartphones, or children shouldn't have smartphones. And I mean, I don't want to say that video blew up, but it has several thousand views and lots of comments, and apparently whether or not children should have smartphones is an extremely controversial topic. So I wanted to talk about it today, and I wanted to address a few things. So the first thing I really want to address is I'm talking about smartphones. I'm not talking about flip phones or track phones. I'm talking about smartphones. If kids really do need access to a phone for safety reasons while they're at school or out with friends, a flip phone or a track phone is a great option, because then you can talk and text with your parents or with whoever if there is a problem. I don't have an issue with track phones or flip phones. That's not a part of this. I was getting a lot of comments being like, you know, how do you get help if you're out and you need to call the cops if something bad is happening? And it's almost as if some people either forgot that track phones and flip phones exist, or they weren't reading the text on my video that clearly said smartphones. I didn't say kids shouldn't have a phone. I said specifically that kids shouldn't have smartphones. So I just wanted to clear that up. So now I want to get into why shouldn't kids have smartphones. So smartphones are very addictive. I have seen even adults who are addicted to their phone, and they can't seem to prioritize what's important in life. They're always on their phone, and they don't prioritize like housework or chores or whatever. They're just on their phone all the time. So smartphones have, well, I think any kind of phone, you can be addicted to things like texting your friends. I've known people who text for hours out of the day, even if it's just a flip phone. But smartphones obviously have way more tendency to be addictive because there's so many apps and games and fun things to do on a phone. I'll give it to you. Smartphones, there's a lot of fun things you can do on a smartphone. I will not deny that. It's like all the time you discover a new app or a new game or a new thing that you can do with your smartphone. So I just want to clarify that some of the concerns related to a smartphone are internet related. A lot of it is internet related. Besides just being addicted, there are things like TikTok. That is a big one that parents are having an issue with, is TikTok. There aren't internet filters. These phones don't have an internet filter. You have to like download apps for that, and usually you have to pay for them. I know, I forget what it was called, but I think it was Focus on the Family that had an internet filter that my family subscribed to on our computers, and it was a monthly fee. And if we wanted to add it to a tablet or a smartphone, we would have to pay extra for that. So a lot of like real deal good internet filters, you have to pay a monthly fee for them. And I don't know if a lot of parents bother to like subscribe and sign up for a filter. And there are a lot of things that can pop up internet-wise that are not healthy for children to be seeing, even if you're not even looking for them. I'm an adult and I have a phone, and you know, even I get weird ads that are kind of raunchy that I didn't ask for. And that's just not something that that children need to be seeing. So my main concern with children having access to a smartphone is all the addictive tendencies, specifically with internet and all of those types of things. I also want to talk about, a lot of people are saying that kids are getting bullied because they don't have a phone. Obviously that's a problem, but handing your kid a smartphone is just putting a band-aid over the issue. If someone wants to be a bully, they're gonna just find another way to bully somebody. You know, if you don't have a phone, you're gonna get bullied for it. If you do have a phone, you're gonna get bullied because you don't have the phone that everybody else has. There's always gonna be something for someone to bully you over. So handing kids a phone or whatever it is that they're getting bullied for just puts a band-aid over the issue at this point. We need to do better to handle bullying in schools. The other angle to this is I know people who use a smartphone to bully people. I have heard of kids who like literally video another kid getting bullied and then like share it with their friends and stuff. So again, that is another reason for kids not to have phones, is it's an excuse for a completely different form of bullying, like making fun of students and then posting it online for others to make fun of. And it's just a whole thing. And you know, there are ways that kids are, you know, using cell phones for bad purposes that parents aren't even aware of, and it's ways that parents wouldn't even think of, honestly. Okay, so another thing specifically that I want to address, and this is more of a personal matter because I was getting a lot of comments on this on the short that I mentioned earlier, and this was something that I hadn't realized would more or less cause an uproar. So I just want to talk about it, and that is, why do I have a smartphone? I have gotten several comments just arguing and saying, well then why do you have a smartphone then? One of the comments said, well, you look like a child, something like, well, you look like a child, so why do you have a smartphone? So I just wanted to clear that up, even though I'm well aware that I don't know anybody anything, and it's my business, but I do want to clear this up and make a formal statement that I am a married adult. These are my wedding rings. I've been married for almost 2 years and 4 months. My husband and I both work, we both have jobs, and we, you know, we're adults and we choose, you know, whether we want to have a smartphone or not, and, you know, what brand of smartphone and what model of smartphone. And we work and we pay for the bills for our smartphones. So yes, I use my smartphone to make content for my YouTube channel because it's really easy to just film everything on there and then just edit it on there without having to offload the footage onto a computer or something. I just think that it's very easy, and it makes it very easy to kind of do everything in one place. So yes, I have a smartphone, and that is because I'm a legal adult and I'm mature enough and old enough to have one. And yes, I do look very young for my age, and that is something that has been a lifelong problem of, you know, people making fun of me for looking at least 4 or 5 years younger than the age that I tell them. But that isn't something we need to get into here. The point is simply that I have a smartphone, and because I'm old enough to have one and I'm a legal adult. So why am I advocating that kids shouldn't have a smartphone? Another comment that I've been getting a lot of that I want to address is people saying that I'm jealous that I didn't have one when I was a kid. I've gotten a few comments of that, particularly that I just wish I had one when I was a kid. So I want to talk about that too. I want to talk a little bit about my childhood and my life without a smartphone. So basically, when I was a young child, like 6 and 7, which is sadly the age that some kids are getting phones nowadays, cell phones didn't exist. So I had a normal, healthy childhood without a phone, which is why I'm, you know, so vocal about, you know, children don't need smartphones. It's because I survived childhood without a smartphone and I'm better for it. Like I said, when I was, you know, 6 and 7, I didn't have access to a smartphone because they weren't a thing. Cell phones in general weren't a thing. My dad got a Motorola flip phone. I think it was Motorola. It was black and it had one of those little antennas. You have to pull out the antenna. He got that when I was probably 9 or 10, and I was used to landline phones. So I remember, I think my dad had taken me to the doctor or something, and I was calling my mom at home to give her like an update or something. And she was like, is it weird to be able to talk on the phone in the car? And I was like, yeah, like it was this new thing to be able to talk on the phone in the car because I was just used to landlines. But it didn't make me wish I could have that. Like, it didn't occur to me because my friends didn't have phones, so I wasn't being exposed to it all the time. The other angle to this is like I said, we had landlines. For a lot of my growing up years, we had a landline phone. And so the cell phone that my dad had was really for going out somewhere. If he was gonna go run errands or go do something, he'd take the phone in case there was like a problem. And he needed to call us or we needed to call him. Like, there wasn't a need for it while we were home because we just had landlines, and this was before texting was really a thing. I don't know when texting officially came out. I'd have to do some research. I don't know if you could text with the first flip phones, but we weren't texters. He didn't text with that phone. So we really didn't have a need to use the phone while we were at home because we had a landline, and that took care of all of our phone problems. And I was raised with, the knowledge of how to call 911 and how to, tell the person on the other end of the phone, like where I lived. Like, my parents would write out my address when I was too young to have it memorized. They would write out my address so I could tell the person on the other end of the phone, like, where I lived and all that type of thing. So I was raised with knowledge of how to use the phone to call for help if I needed it. So yeah. So going along with this, I want to talk about kind of like when smartphones were really released. So I don't know for sure when the world's first smartphone was released. I'm not sure on that, but specifically the iPhone. The first iPhone came out in 2007 when I was in my teens. I'm just going to be general here because I don't want to really get into my age and divulge that on the internet quite yet. Maybe I will one day, but I'm just not there yet. I'm gonna keep my age to myself. I don't think that I owe anyone that information. But I was in my teens. That's the point, is I was in my teens when the iPhone came out. And, I may or may not have seen like an ad on TV or something for an iPhone, but I wasn't like, ooh, I want one of those. Like, I did not care. I had a perfectly normal childhood, socializing with my friends, I simply did not have a use for a phone. And the other angle to this, I'm not going to get into it a whole lot. I'll make another video on this if people are really curious and want to know more about it. But I was homeschooled. I'll just say that I had a great education that I'm so thankful for. But I did my school at home, so I didn't need a phone to connect with my parents while I was away because my dad worked from home. Like, my parents worked from home and my mom homeschooled me. So I really didn't need a cell phone to communicate with anyone because I was home. And, when I was older, I had homeschool like co-ops and stuff, and I would socialize with my friends there, but I just didn't feel as much of a need to connect with them outside of class. So I just didn't as much. Now, when I was 15, I did get my first email address so that I could email people if I wanted to. But before that, if I needed to email anybody, I would use my mom's email, or even before she had one, I would use my dad's email. And when I was 16, I got a Facebook, so I would communicate with people via my Facebook. But I just really didn't see a need for a phone at that time. So another reason that I am really grateful that I didn't have a phone growing up is my mom, and I'm not trash talking her at all. Please don't misunderstand that. I have like the best mom in the whole wide world, and I'm so thankful for her. But she set limits on my screen time. So I had a half hour per day on like computer games or Nintendo when I was younger. And then when I was older and I had an email and a Facebook, I had 15 minutes per day for both email and Facebook, 15 minutes for both of them. And then later on, she upped it to like a half hour for Facebook. But point being, if I had had a phone, I know that she would have limited my usage, and I probably would have had like a half hour a day for my phone. So that would have just annoyed me a lot growing up. Although I would be thankful now that she limited my time, I think it would have just annoyed me growing up to have those limits, because it'd be like I'm texting people and then my time is up, and if they text back, I can't, talk to them again until tomorrow, and it would have been a whole thing. Plus, that was just another reason for me not to have one, because if you're going to limit your child that much on phone usage, it's a waste of money to even be paying for a phone at that point. Although I do believe that when given their first phone, no matter what it is, children should be monitored, period. But that's just another reason that I'm super grateful, because I was limited on screen time, and I'm very grateful now that I was taught how to manage my time and how to prioritize, what's important in life. But at the time, I really didn't like my time limits, and they really annoyed me, and a half hour felt like barely anything. And so I'm sure that would have been an issue for me growing up with a phone, is my time on it would have been limited. So that would have probably, I'm guessing, been an issue for me. Okay, so lastly, I'm kind of going to talk about like when I got my first phone. So I got my first phone when I was, I think, 19. So my dad upgraded to his first smartphone, and I got his old flip phone. It was Motorola, and I kind of just used that for emergencies. I didn't text on it, but I could call people if I needed to. So that was my first exposure to a phone, and my mom had a flip phone as well at that time. And when I was 20, I upgraded to a smartphone. I had a business at the time. I worked with a company called Origami Owl. It's a jewelry company, and I would, go to people's houses and do like the parties, and I needed to be able to have a phone so that people could pay with credit card and I could use Square. So I got a phone for that. So really, my mom and I got smartphones right around the same time. I had a phone first, and then she got hers like a year or something after I got mine. So again, it's not like I saw everyone around me having phones and I was jealous. Like, I started wanting an iPhone maybe a year before I ended up finally getting one. So I really did not have a jealous childhood of wanting a phone. I just didn't. And as I said before, I just didn't need one because we had a landline phone up until I was like, I think early 20s, when we finally got rid of it. And my mom already had a cell phone at the time, and I had the flip phone. So the only reason we really still had the landline was I have a pacemaker, and up until that point, the device for remote checks at home required to be plugged into a landline. Now they've upgraded and everything is Bluetooth, and it's amazing, and you don't need a landline. But in that day, we had to have a landline phone just so that I could plug into the jack and actually do a check. So that's really the only reason we still had a landline phone. But yeah, I had my first actual smartphone when I was 20. So yeah. Another thing I want to touch on about, why I think children shouldn't have smartphones is, like I said, there's a lot of addictive tendencies and a lot of stuff that can come in via the internet that children don't need to be seeing. And another angle to this is not all, we're definitely further along than we were when I started with my phone, but not all parents are very tech savvy. And even if they are, some of them don't have time to go through their child's phone. My mom didn't. When I first got my phone, I remember her saying, basically admitting that she didn't have time to figure out how to use my phone so that she could go through it and see what I was doing or what I was looking at. So she essentially said, I'm just gonna have to trust you because I don't have the time to really go through it or learn how. The thing was, she didn't know how to go through my phone because smartphones were still somewhat new to a lot of people. I'm not trying to trash talk and say that my mom was ignorant. It's just smartphones were new to us, and she wasn't as techie with them as she is now. She's much more techie now. Plus, she didn't have the same brand of phone that I did. She had an Android and I had an iPhone, so she didn't really know how to go through mine. So I think that's another angle to this, is some parents just hand their kids a smartphone and they don't go through it, and maybe part of it is they don't know how to go through it. So I would say to that is, when your kids do have a smartphone, get them the same kind of phone that you have, just so that you really know how to go through it, how to check their internet history, how to, GPS track them, whatever it is that you're worried about. It's good to have like the same brand of phone so that you really know how to use it and how to go through their phone. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, I guess. I just think that children are missing out on a lot of childhood things. If they have a phone, they're not, they're gonna be playing. Do you want your kids, logging into an internet game to socialize with their friend, or do you want them to play outside and hang out and go to the mall with their friends? And I feel like there's less, obviously there's a lot more ways to connect with people via a phone, but it also can keep you from connecting in person. And I think in person, face-to-face relationships are super important, and I just don't want kids to be missing out on, a normal healthy childhood with, playing outside and games and, all the things that I had growing up that I may have missed out on if I had been exposed to a phone. So please comment down below if you'd like to discuss this or share your opinions. Please be polite and respectful. If you don't share my opinion, or if someone else makes a comment and you don't share their opinion, please, let's try to keep civil discussion in the comments about everything. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. Let me know your thoughts on what I said. And let me know if you're a new subscriber. Again, welcome. Let me know what else you would like to see from me, because I want to keep y'all coming back to my channel for more content. So I only want to put out what you guys want to see. So please let me know what else you want to see from me, whether it's another, controversial topic you want me to discuss or something like that. Please just comment down below and let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!